In 2012, African leaders at the African Union decided to create and establish the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, an agreement that was specifically designed to be able to improve African intra-trade through creation of a single market and, of course, promotion of industry. Now, I'm here at Comesa Market here in Zambia, which houses over 2,000 traders who are Zambian and non-Zambian. And these are the traders that will directly benefit from this particular agreement. Now, the biggest question is, how much do these traders know about this particular Continental Free Trade Agreement? Despite its demographic advantage, Africa's inter-trade is still low at 15% compared to Europe, which is trading with itself at 65% and Asia at 50%. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is a tool that can change this narrative to consolidate Africa's position on the global trade platform. The agreement's primary objective is to promote regional economic growth, political and social integration through creation of a single market. Only 27 out of 54 African countries have ratified the agreement, whose full implementation is scheduled for July 2020. Zambia signed the agreement on the 10th of February 2019 and is expected to ratify the agreement by the end of 2019. Zambia's implementation strategy has identified key sectors such as energy, ICT, agriculture, construction, tourism, education, manufacturing, and health. Zambia Association of Manufacturers Vice President Chipego Zulu says local manufacturers must start preparing for this agreement.
Ultimately, what it means if we're looking at the African Continental Free Trade Area is we need to be able to ensure that our manufacturing sector is able to perform competitively. And basically that means that we have to do our groundwork. We have always said this as an association, that we need to create the space for local manufacturers to actually thrive, not only on the domestic environment, but in the region. So on the one hand, we see the opportunities. Africa is a 1.2 billion market. However, we also see the constraints in the sense that Zambia is still got quite, what we would say, not as strong of an industrial base. And so there's need for us to strengthen that industrial base to make sure that when we open up further to West Africa, to East Africa, the countries that are not part of COMESA and SADC, that we don't see a huge influx of imported products as opposed to Zambian products going out to earn the forex that we envisage under the African Continental Free Trade Area. So in this regard, I know that the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry has been trying to ensure that the industry is ready. Whether we'll be ready by this time next year or earlier than this time next year, it still stands as a major question, especially given the challenges that we're currently facing in the market now. For instance, the energy deficit is affecting the capabilities, the productive capabilities of our local manufacturers. And if we're looking at it from a cost competitiveness angle, it basically means that Zambian products are likely to be more expensive in regional markets. And looking at that, then it stands to reason that we would find a bit of a challenge with competing with products from Nigeria, for instance, competing with other products that might not be coming in now, but may be given the opportunity under the Continental Free Trade Area. So there's work being done in the background to ensure that locally manufactured products are protected using various angles, from a sensitive list creation, which we have made sure that we have made our submissions as an association for various products to be protected in terms of the liberalization aspect of the agreement, tariff liberalization aspect of the agreement. But at the same time, I think there's still quite a lot of work that needs to be done in ensuring that we're able to utilize the trade remedies or the provisions that allow the country to protect its domestic industry. So there's still capacity building that has to be done both at ministerial level and even for the private sector, so that we're able to understand at what point we should be able to trigger some of the remedies to make sure that our industry does not collapse in the face of this much larger market.
For a country with an infant manufacturing sector like Zambia, the agreement contains articles that guarantee protection of the Zambian market from being a dumping site. Over 80% of the Zambian business landscape is informal. How best can Zambia implement this agreement?
Okay, my biggest concern about free trade agreements and other trade agreements is our commitment as a country to take advantage of the opportunities. We right now have got several trade agreements that have been running for many years. We have the SADC Free Trade Agreement, which is about 14 countries. We have the COMESA Free Trade Agreement, which comprises about 20 countries. And now we are looking at the Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is the African countries, which is about between 50 and 54 countries. And we sign these things very easily. But the challenge is, what advantage have we taken? How have we organized our country and our economy to take advantage of the free trade agreements? When we look at COMESA market and people complain that at the COMESA market there are so many foreigners, exactly. That's what free trade agreements are all about. That we as Zambians should be able to go into Zimbabwe, into Malawi, into Botswana, into Angola, into Congo and trade there. But reciprocally, those people should be able to come into our country and trade. Now when they come into our country, we start to complain, but going into the country, we are very open to do so. So I think the mindset of our people and our business people is not quite right. We need to work on saying, yes, let's prepare ourselves to take advantage of the free trade area agreements so that we can go into our neighboring countries and do business there. But we must be prepared to accept that they will come into our country to do business. If they are better business people than we are on the balance of trade, we are likely to see more imports coming in than exports. So we have to pull up our socks. Now, how do we get there? We get there on the basis of seeing government agencies working to build the private sector. The Zambia Bureau of Standards should be spending 25% of their time inspecting factories and saying you are breaking the law and therefore you cannot operate because you are doing things that are dangerous for human safety, for public safety. But the 75% of their time, they should be using it to motivate, to support, to facilitate the Zambian private sector, the micro, small and medium enterprises, to do the right things, to be able not only to satisfy the Zambian market, but also to satisfy the regional market. We need to see our finance institutions beginning to say, you welders or carpenters who are making doors, can you get together, form a cooperative so that we as a financial institution can finance your sector in that group on Kalingalinga, on Alikinkata Road, or in Garden on Katima Mulilo Road, or in Dola, or in Kitwe, wherever the place may be. So that when we fund you, you are able to produce these products and you're able to sell to the local market. And hopefully, you'll be able to sell into the regional markets as well. This is what government facilitation should be in terms of developing our small and medium enterprises sector in respect to the opportunities that are available with our free trade agreements and even with the other bilateral agreements we have with the United States, we have with the European Union and other countries, that our people can produce products economically to the right specifications and right quality to be able to enter into these markets.
Zambia is surrounded by 8 potential markets that are yet to be maximized, and as such, the majority of Zambians are involved in cross-border trade. The Continental Free Trade Agreement will provide an array of opportunities that extend beyond market linkages. But the million-dollar question is, what do foot soldiers on the ground who are the cross-border traders know about this particular agreement, as they will benefit from this agreement? For example, Gregory has been in this market for over 5 years now. But what does he know about the Continental Free Trade Agreement?
Iyo ndiye amene ifunika yankadira sochabe kuti ngati chintu chiyamba bafunika bati chita sensitize like my traders say oh kulicha so ngati chinga nkade so chinga nkade bwanji manje osati chintu cha tiziba tichimverera che like mwamene sochabe mwamene tifunsira sochabe oro stinga chizibe it's better chintu batiuza mwamene chiriri na benefit ya mechi tizankara na heavy maana kwa benefit tiziba hili yonsi.
Mimi sijui, mfano kama mimi hapa sifahamu, so natakiwa angalau wanakuja kutuelewesha zaidi ili tunajua nini maana ya hiyo kitu, kwa sababu bado wengi hatujui.
tuizi ba agreement amene banakamba banaenda ku Kenya, after Kenya baenda ku Ethiopia, ku Ethiopia yes, South Africa futi banasaina but kuyiona tukaribe kuyiona but timvera information wamene baendera bakulu baenda kuma meeting kuti kuri free trade amene zankalako, so tuyembekezera kuti stizi ba date amene kuti yayamba free trade ndi amene tuyembekezera.
While cross-border traders are yet to familiarize with opportunities that the Continental Free Trade Agreement will bring, Commerce Market Chairperson Mishek Msonde feels that government must walk the talk where this agreement is concerned.
The first thing I can say is it's a good idea. The only problem is the execution of the idea. You see, the Continental Free Trade Area is a very good idea, but it will be up to the continent itself to implement or to execute what they are dreaming of. You see, according to the little experience that we have, I think we Africans have done more harm to ourselves than the whites did. We have put non-tariff barriers to these cross-border trading. You see, we have got blocks in Africa, like Commerce and SADC. They have been singing of liberalization, have been singing of free movement of resources, which includes the human resource. But that is where you are going to find restrictions. In some countries, they give 7 days to somebody to go and do business in another country, in Africa, just neighboring. So we don't know how that one will work. We have got doubts, we on the ground, because we have not yet experienced that free movement of people in these blocks, SADC and Commerce. Yes, we have learned from East Africa. They have tried. These people have come up with one passport in East Africa, although they can indicate on their passport Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. But people are free to move, not given days. Let him do business in that area. In Commerce and SADC, you have a permit where you are given. If you trade for 6 months, then you have to go home and stay there. If you choose to do international business, that is your career. International means you are going to be selling in foreign countries. Doesn't warrant you to only work for 6 months and then you go back to your own country and then come back later. That is a joke. That's a joke. What I would only encourage our government is to make sure if this thing is ratified, there should be proper monitoring of say people are really free to move the way the Continental Free Trade Area is being propelled. Let it be as it is. The content should have that freedom of people, and the government of Zambia should prepare its own people to capture the market. Because you see, it is pointless to have a free market where you don't have a share of a market. You need to have something to say. What are we going to put on the table? It will take years. We have to prepare ourselves. What do Nigeria need? What do Kenya need? Then we supply them with that. Let us be market-oriented. Our government should be market-oriented.
Effective trade facilitation and removal of retrogressive trade tariffs will boost and double African intra-trade by 2022, precipitated by a market that will consist of 1.2 billion people and a combined gross domestic product of $2.5 trillion.